What is it you are not seeing? It depends where you're seeing from. If you're seeing from you, in what you're accustomed to, you won't see it. Even though you're in that.
Very transparent. The body has its pattern. Mind follows the pattern.
Yeah.
What is there that I'm not seeing?
What is it you're not seeing?
I'm seeing the pattern. Yeah.
But where are you in that?
Oh, yeah, forward bit. So it's like there's this perfume.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Yeah. That's you. And it doesn't need to see. It just sees.
Did the pull ever stop for you? Is that what happened?
When you say pull, do you mean prior or post awakening?
Prior.
The pull stopped. The pull became isolated when I was told that I'm not my thoughts and my feelings. That isolated then my thought and feeling movement forward. So moving forward as this mental and emotional seeking, that pull suddenly became isolated, and it sort of became not what I could trust anymore. I couldn't assume it anymore. So in the absence of that mistrust, in the absence of what I would normally use, was this awareness that it doesn't work. It was then that this awareness of what that is what then became the readiness. the willingness, and to surrender back. It went back. And it's then I realized the true body of reality behind the facade of leaning forward and assuming and possessing. But it has to fall back for it to then open up. If it doesn't do that, it just remains an awareness of something that doesn't work. And that's the dilemma. Can't use what doesn't work, but you still don't know how to be awareness. You don't know how to move as awareness. So you have to really fall back in it. Let go. And it's that can happen spontaneously. Only that can happen spontaneously. Awareness, aware of itself, is spontaneous. Awareness falling back in itself is spontaneous. These can happen just like that. Blink of an eye. But you'll go forward each time. You'll keep going forward, and you'll keep, what does he mean? What is he saying? What can that look like? I need that. So there's your emotional possession. There's your mental possession. There's your leaning forwards. Because that's what you're accustomed to. And you're in that. You are in that. But you've got to distinguish yourself from that. And then as yourself, fall back. That's what the practice of meditation really is. That's what non-attachment is. That's what meditation is. But we've leaned forward into it. We've all gone, well, I'm going to meditate this way. I'm going to do it that way. This is going to look like this. I'm going to get the proper rug. I'm going to get the proper bell. And there's nothing wrong in that, by the way. I'm not putting it down, because meditation is incredibly important if it's done correctly. It's just that most of the time it's not. And it's by accident you usually realize that. Because it's by accident you usually, as awareness, fall back. Because no one can do it for you. No one can show you how to do it. I can use words. And you might think, well, what does that mean? Then just throw them away then, if that's the case, and use them. But that's the dilemma, is leaning forward is all you know. It's like in the Plato's cave. The shadows is all they know. You. Lean back as if you're going to fall asleep. Do it that way. Come away from the function of moving forward, which is the mind, becoming the thing. Always following your thoughts, your emotions. As awareness, just as if, you know, when you go to sleep at night, you naturally let go of the mind. You naturally let go of everything, don't you? And it's awareness that does that, is it not? Well, you go to bed and the next thing you do, you're gone. It's kind of the same movement. But instead of going into sleep, you're just going into yourself. You fall back into sleep and you go forward into waking. But you have to go back for you. But even when you get caught up in the forward movement, it's still you at the root of it. That's the partial reality of that situation. That's you. That's you as awareness without using anything. And then you become awareness not using, resting in itself. What's happening for you now?
And finding how it's stuck. But resting on the ground.
You don't need the words. They come. Even if you're in your stuckness, you can still find you. That's all that matters, really. What you'll find when you find yourself, even in your stuckness, you're totally okay with it.
Like something tiny. And it's like a tidal wave.
You say it's something tiny and it's like a tidal wave. Yes. Yes. It's a good way of describing it. That's the paradox. It's the tiny compared to appearance. It's the tiniest center of knowing, but then it infiltrates everything. It's pulled in everything. It's like the yeast. Oh, yeah, they are loud, aren't they? To be you, you don't need to know anything. It's just a habit.
Walk around this expanded.
Do I walk around?
This expanded.
Yeah. I'm that, not my thinking. Thinking can happen, but I'm that. Open. I'm not a thinker. I'm not a seeker. Nor are you. Just think you are. It was, it was whatever was there in the absence. Whatever was there beyond the construct of my own imagining, because thought and feeling was not me. So whatever fantasy arises out of my own personal experience, I understood was not me or could not facilitate in finding me. So as awareness, there was this profound realization that one cannot use the mind, this intuition, one cannot use the mind. And to find God, to know God, or to get God consciousness would have to come from beyond that, a help beyond that. And that's what I prayed to, was a help beyond that. And I had no image, no mental image, or even no linear understanding of what that could be. I believed in God, but God meant to me reality, the reality principle, whatever that is. That's what mattered to me. Not, I didn't need rescuing or to become something I liked. I just wanted to die what wasn't true. That's all. And I just wanted something beyond me to facilitate in for the process to recognize a deeper honesty than me. So in a way, I just knew I couldn't do it myself. That was the profound laying down of what I could use. And as awareness, I surrendered. And that awareness is still surrendered. But it's now surrendered to what it knows. And it always remains that. Just awareness. That's all it is. And in that, there's no other prayer, no other meditation. That's it. But this leaning forward into these ideas is what distracts us. You are already it, and you are already the material. You are already the way. You don't need a design, but designs help facilitate or quicken the understanding. That awareness itself is what turns in on itself. There's really nothing in it for you. Nothing in it in your person. It's just, that's it. We just corporatize it. And when we corporatize it, it becomes an idea that seems to attract a lot of people. But it's something you can do completely alone, or the secret ingredient is that awareness. To turn around as that awareness, fall back as that. when all you know is to go forward with these ideas, with these emotions. You've invested everything in your mental constructs, your emotional possessiveness, firmly rooted in your body. And in that, you fail to see the true body, you. Awareness. So the mind isn't you. It's just your capacity, it's just your ability to say something, to name something, to remember something. But you don't need any of that to know yourself. You okay, Colin?
Mm. I am. The thing I love about this is that there really is nothing to do. It's already done. We yeah. I've never been here.
That seems to be the last place.
But it's true. One of them. That knowing isn't that weakness, isn't weird.
No, and the interesting thing is the closer you get to truth, the more ridicule you'll get from the crowd, as you say. And there's no accident. No accident. Apart from these groups, of course, but I'm talking about the main populace.
Yeah, yeah. No, I know what you mean. Cause, but you have chosen.
Mm. And the path is narrow. I think the pathway is as narrow as awareness is. You can, as narrow as awareness, yeah. Um, no, I think I've never really thought about it like that. I see what you're saying, but yeah, you might have said it, but it depends. It depends on what context you're saying it. If it's integration, your life, the movement of truth. But in awareness returning home, it's just awareness returning home. And that's a very narrow path in itself. But then your life gets narrower as you start being mastered by that truth. When truth then becomes you being the source of experience, then everything in you starts to come inward, or begins to associate to that. So really, all your patterns start being mastered by what you know, and then your life gets narrower. The path into the world gets narrower. Everything starts to associate to your knowing, so it gets narrower, because the mind can deviate into very wide areas. You can get lost in all sorts of activities. But when knowing awakens, all of that mind stuff starts to narrow, starts to narrow, until eventually it just becomes your knowing extended. And it becomes, your knowing has a mind, has body. In that sense, it gets narrower.